Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Crunch time. With just 4 rounds remaining, it's quite early in the season to start talking about championship, but it can be wrapped up as early as tonight. The story of the tape is quite simple. There's no Kevin Foster here tonight to go and spoil the tip of the tail. There is no Marco Nurmela to go and try and fight a way back. The role and responsibility simply lies on 2 people, on Dan Jiang and on JT Smeaton. They're the only 2 left who can make a charge at Timothy Friis-Larsen. And Timothy here tonight knows he only needs to score 8 championship points, and the championship is wrapped up with 3 rounds to spare. We find ourselves at Mugello here in the Tuscan Hills, and this is going to be one day that everyone is wanting to try and stand up on song and ceremony for. My name's Jake Sperry, Craig King alongside with me for today's action. Jake Kennedy is in the production truck for this one, and well, Craig, it's Mugello. It's possibly the greatest 2-wheeled circuit out there in the world, but what it does for 4 is something truly special.
Yeah, it does some magic out here, but look at it. Look at the European leg of this championship to round it out. We head to Monza next week, go to Portimao, otherwise known as Algarve, finish at Silverstone. What a finish to this series. It really has that F1 vibe to it, but this is the track I feel that people sleep on when it comes to downforce cars. It's so nice to in flow. All the elevation changes really test the limit of the aero grip and brings in the mechanical grip. This is the track that is featured one long straight. And if we know anything about straights from last week, well, those buttons are going to be very tired after the night.
They are, and here's how your iRacing Championship standings go. Timothy Friis-Larsen is on top with a few drop rounds used, so we might be paying more attention to that by the end of the season, with Dan Jiang in 2nd and Benjamin David 3rd in those standings. Royan Sener is currently 4th ahead of Denis Morentsov and Brian Carey, with the Brazilians Valerio Fagundes Tavares there in 7th and Victor Awad 8th, ahead of Daniel Zofko and Ansis Law, making up your top 10 there. But let's peel back the curtain of where we've got to fight here. Everyone has taken points from everybody this season, with Kevin Foster and Marco Nurmela not here. Timothy Friis-Larsen needs 8 over Dan Jiang to secure the championship, knowing that he is in a really, really good position. You could argue that he needs to outscore Dan Jiang by 6 in order to get that confirmed. He's got to remember here today, 105 plays for 41. He's got to be at least 69 points ahead to confirm the championship then in that regard. But Craig, this Mugello circuit, it's not often that you find a circuit where every corner's got a name, but when every corner has a name, it means that every corner's special.
Oh, we love tracks with corners with names instead of numbers, and this is one of those that is fantastic. Got a little feel of that old chicane-ish you get at Gilles Villeneuve at the start of this track, but it really opens up. And one thing that's always cool to see is standard auto at the start of the lap. Outside usually can work very well as it sets up there, and that's the name of the game, is setting up corners for overtaking here with that downforce. A lot of elevation changes going up the hill, up the track. And then when you come to Ariata 1 and 2 at 8 and 9, then you start to go back up the hill before you go straight down again. It's high speed with a lot of medium speed corners. Nothing really slow on this track. Should be a real nice test for these drivers to get that downforce engaged.
Yeah, this will be a true test here for these drivers on a hot track today at Mugello. It's 41 degrees Celsius, so they are going to have to be absolutely on their toes here in Tuscany. James Byrne currently finds himself in third. It is Samarth Morenzov who is currently fastest in qualifying, and the Saudi Prince, Mo Shalan, then in second place. So he'll be certainly happy with the way that his efforts have been going about then, as there is number one there from Scorpio Esports, Timmy Friis Larsen, looking to attack here. The Arrabbiata corners, 31.1 first sector, out of Arrabbiata 2, up the hill, look for the plateau braking zone as you tack into Scarperia and Pelagio.
Get yourself ready for the end of this lap because it's not over yet. Another downhill. Graniato looking around at about 170 kilometers an hour there. High speed through the Blondetti chicane. And then last corner, we've seen it. James Byrne goes into pole position. And Montadov can't beat it by 2,000s. But I feel it's going to be all for naught right now because look how good Larsen has taken that last corner all the way to the long line, and it is a long run to this finish line. Crossed at the line. It's a 24.47. He doesn't need to do any more.
But you expect that he might just as well, because he wants to go and prove it. Jack David Spickett out there looking for lap time here, and as Mo Shalan goes up to fifth, it is a mighty, mighty tight run that they have got in this qualifying. JT Smeaton, by the way, up into fourth position. Your top four are split by 700ths of a second, and there's still quick drivers. Dan Jiang, he can only manage 12th, and there's 3 points on the line. If you qualify the car in pole position, it makes life even easier. Miguel Facado coming to the line on a 124.596 of his own, puts him up, the Portuguese driver, into fifth place. It's suddenly getting very, very crowded at the top.
Yeah, look, Jack, his last lap, he's only get one lap in, 124.6. Still top six, separated by a 10th. As Larsen decides he wants to inflict more pain on everybody. He wants to really put down a lap that says that he is in control. 19 drivers today. Benjamin David, 2 invalid laps. He'll be the only man not to set a timeout here on a stacked field. 5,819 strength of field. And Larsen is going to be coming across the line, and he just adds. Oh my days, he adds.
0.3 of a second. Timothy Friis Larsen says he is the cut above James Byrne as he puts the car on pole and takes 3 points, and now walks 3 points away from the title. James Byrne is second, and Samarth Morenzov makes up your top three. JT Smeaton, who won at Barber, he'll line up in fourth with Miguel Facado fifth, and Jack David Spickett then in P6. It then follows with Mo Shalan and Luis Kachan making up that fourth row. Robin Kronecki is a very underrated driver in ninth, with Ben Ford rounding out your top 10. Valerio Fagundes Tavares and Victor Awad means the Brazilians will house row 6 of the grid, as they will look with Mohamed Amine Rezgui behind in 13th, and Dan Jiang, never notoriously a great qualifier, he's there in 14th position. Mickey Friesen and Felipe Sarkis are then on row 8, with Fabrizio Rivera 17th and Ross Banfield 18th, which rounds out the field with Benjamin David then, who will have to make the biggest amount of work to charge his way up the order. So there's still lots to be done to go and get this race the way that you need it to. There are never guarantees with this one, and with this being 131 kilometers, about 81 miles worth of racing, they've got to deal with themselves a 17-point instant limit. It is a very important race and an important drive up to turn 1 at San Donato, a long run that is paved with gold, like the road to El Dorado is paved with gold. Out there, you have to be absolutely switched on starts like these ones, because you can find very quickly yourself up in the air or in the barriers if you are not paying attention. You just got to ask what a restart looks like in Formula One around here as the end result. but they will also know that they have to be super, super aggressive here, especially Dan Jiang if he wants to make something of the championship, and JT Smeaton too. Green flag drops, we're underway. Then it's a very poor start by JT Smeaton, who gets swarmed off the start. Everybody looks to fall into the line then. Here at Timothy Fries-Larsen, it's Samuth Morentsov watching around, looking for a way to go through. Here's James Byrne on the outside, trying to get it 4 or 5 wide. In the middle as they now look to work through Sandonato. Clearance then for the likes of Timothy Fries-Larsen, but Byrne pushing then with Morentsov, trying to fight for it. Morentsov still wants to drive off the exit. Look at James Byrne try and strangle a hold of second place. He's got it.
He's got it, but at what cost? They're almost out of that slipstream already. Already had an incident in the background as well. Mickey Friesen, Victor Owed already tied in together. They've had it coming together in the first few quarters, but these drivers continuing on. Very chaotic start of the race at the back, middle of the field. Everyone just trying to find a way through at the front of the field, but they were still trying to work out who wanted to retake them, who'd take P2. They were really battling hard early doors, and Smeaton's already down 1 place after a surprising bog down on the start line.
Yeah, that's not done him any favours, but he's managed to gain those places back. Shalan is then up into 4th place then off the get-go. Then it's Spickett, Facardo, Kachan there. Krenecki then follows with Ben Ford there in the mock-up Williams, the mock-up McLaren then that goes through. Vodafone ring up and overtake, can't quite get one. But look at the gap that Timothy Fries-Larsen has got here in the opening lap of this race. He has absolutely flown away off of the get-go. He's already clear by a second as James Byrne watches on behind, and now there's the move for 6th place in the back of shot. JDS on the wrong side of it here, straight down the inside in the TGR colours. Miguel Facardo, but here comes the attack back then for Luco. Up and under for the Poggio Secco, doesn't work.
Nah, don't usually work on that part of the corner at Poggio Secco. Gonna have to re-go. Here comes this replay again, as you see, almost 4 wide going there. I believe Mickey just getting caught out by a car checking up in front. You'll see that purple car. Yeah, there he is, just there, checks up, loses control. Now, these are cold tyres as well. They have to get the tyres a little bit warmed up. And just lost it there with just that snap moment. If you're not used to cold tyres on these cars, just a freak moment like that can just cause a little bit of unbalance. And that's what happened to Friesen.
Well, if you ask what's hurting on Mickey Friesen, Lando Norris would have said talent. So that's a very, very tough ordeal that he's going to have to deal with there, and he will just have to learn how to deal with lap ones like that on cold tyres. My words, all Jack David Spickett, massive lock of oversteer as he tried to put the power down there out of Corontayo corner.
Yeah, and he's going to have to serve a slowdown. Now, hopefully he served this, unlike Benjamin David last week, and he does indeed. He decides to lose the position there, Rossini, and now is going to hold off the push to pass. That's all right for Kachan, because he's got push to pass to use. Not a lot of these drivers at the moment, they're waiting. They're in that recharge point where the push to pass is on hold. They've already used quite a bit. And when I say that, 12 seconds, a lot of these drivers really be aggressive early doors. Only person not to use any push to pass at the front, that man, it just set the fastest lap time. Larson, I'm not still using a push to pass. Words going confused. He's fastest lap.
Yeah, he'll take that, and he'll be very happy with that fastest lap check mark, and he'll know that he's got pace, and he's looking to try and use it here as this mid-pack continues to form up quite nicely with Krenecki, with Ford, with Tavares. Benjamin David's had a great start to this race there in the number 7 in the background then in the mock-up Force India. He is 7 spots to the good.
Yeah, and he had to avoid all that carnage at the start of the race. He got a little bit lucky, actually. He was on the inside of the line, and everyone just crashed in because he was on the right side of the road, took a few places, and then just picked up some stragglers that had mistakes early doors. It's already up quite a few places and right on the back of Tavares right here. And that also allows him to get back into this group, because this goes from Fachado in 6th all the way down to Raguzzi even further in Sarkis right behind. That's about 8-9 cars in this train at the moment, all trying to catch up here, but that's perfect for what Benjamin David needs.
Ricardo then, light flashing. He's trying to burn as much as he can out there and get himself up and away. And here is Shalan. They're really trying to fight to get his pass, and JT Smeaton not there. Outside line searching, Ben Ford trying. So too Benjamin David. Then as it's going to be a case of who can and who can't. Valerio Fagundes Tavares working on a tightrope on the outside, holds on. Ford's got his move on Robin Krenecki, but Benjamin David's not done. He might turn to Materazzi here in the Borgo San Lorenzo as places where he can make the pass. He won't do, and he won't get it now down the hill because you've got to be a fool out there if you want to make the move down through Casanova and Savelli.
Yeah, Casanova's almost flat out in these cars compared to the others, and you come to that Maserati corner, it's a little bit shallower compared to Luca and Poggio Secco, so that we won't even be able to get that move done on the hard braking. But you can see David was really trying to make that move, but getting a bit of a check up now. Brings it in, Raguzzi right behind to just start to apply some pressure, but look how much push to pass is being used already. David already used 31 seconds. Ben Ford, by the way, no idea how he's used 76 seconds in front of him a few cars up. That's a lot to use 4 laps in.
Yeah, but he's tried to be aggressive early. That's why he has burnt as much as he has done. He's trying to stay with the cars in front, so that's why he'll be using a lot early. He will have to pay that back later when he's got nothing to defend with, but Dan Jiang here in the train, looking for a way past Mohamed Amine Rezgui for position, moves to the right-hand side, looks for a way to be better on the brakes. Big, wider arcing line then from Rezgui. Gets a little bit of dirty air in front there from Benjamin David, and that gives the line to the outside then into Luca and the Poggio Secco. Very smart move there from Dan Jiang. Stayed patient.
Stayed patient, saw that David had a little bit of a wide moment through the first corner as well, and that just allowed him to just take advantage there of Mohamed having that small issue out there. So now he's going to have to get some clear air. He's in that mixture right now as Giang. He gets clear air, then he gets a little bit of dirty air from David's car. So he doesn't want that mix. He wants to be all or nothing at the moment. So what I mean by that is he'll want to start catching up, getting in this dirty air. So he's not having that mix. If you get clean and dirty midway through a corner, that's going to upset that balance. And you start to think about those oversteer moments that we saw earlier with drivers like Jack Davis-Pickett.
Well, I am also looking around here and noting that Fabrizio Rivera, way down the order in 17th spot, hasn't had the best of days right now. He's 54 seconds off the back of the race lead as far as it currently stands. But there is second place here, and James Byrne, who's trying his best to hold the gap steady. 125.6 from Timothy Fries-Larsen, 125.6 from James Byrne. So even on that lap, 25.9 though from Samoth Morentsov means he's dropping back. But I'll tell you what, Timothy is going purple, and someone going for a move now. Benjamin David right now, and he goes past Valerio Fagundes Tavares. He's more than just the bow selector, he's making moves.
I wonder if he's making moves like Mick Jagger out there, but that's a good little moment there. Used a little bit of push to pass to catch back up, use that advantage into the braking, and a little bit of a push wide there on Tavares, but that's racing at them, unfortunately. Get off the marbles or onto the marbles and just lose that grip. So he's now up 8 places. Up ahead of him, he's got more that he can catch up. This group that I was talking about earlier from 6 all the way to 50 has kind of spread open a little bit. Still a lot of opportunities for David to make some moves. Got to be a little bit passive with that push to pass though. He's already used it up this lap, but he's only got 46 seconds used. But that's a lot less compared to the people around him. When you look at Krensky, only used 23 seconds so far this race.
Robin Krenecki has been very, very patient with his use, and so he's going to be the one waiting out there to say, look, I'm going to be the one that tries to go through. JT Smeaton then in 4th position, looking for a way to get back up to 3rd as things remain at this moment in the race, with Larson in 1st, with Smeaton in 4th, with Jiang back there in 13th place. It's a case that Timothy Fries-Larsen will secure the title 3 rounds early. Smeaton through the long right-hander then of San Donato up to the highest section of the circuit, turn 2 at Luco. The Poggio Secco all downhill from here, looking to try to take as much as he can through the curve. And while it is back-to-back left-right chicanes, you might think it's boring track design. Those 2 chicanes play slightly different because it's slightly more open and quicker, the second chicane.
And that increases the speed, and then you're thinking about you have to do a little bit more speed, keep that speed up. They're not the same, and you have to work on it. It's almost like the first chicane is giving you a tutorial on how to take the chicane, and the second one is saying, right, you don't know what to do now, put it all to work. And that's what JT is looking to try and do. And then you come into more chicanes, and this one again, tighter, narrower. You have to start that turn into the left a little bit earlier than what you have to do elsewhere. So these chicanes really are testing you. And one thing we always talk about when we talk about chicanes, Jake, a lot of anti-cuts. No anti-cuts here, just the iRacing off-track system. So this allows the driver to be a little bit more aggressive in these chicanes.
Well, there are a couple of the sideways sleeping policemen, but they are very shallow out there through a couple of corners. Outside of that, not much. This is old school, the way you got to get this sorted here in Tuscany. But JT Smeaton starting to close down that margin now on Samarth Morentsov. This is the battle here to try and get up into placement to get to third. But Samarth here covering around in the mock-up McLaren colours, and he's got himself there just the placement needed. Little bit wiggly though, going off the exit of San Donato though with Samarth Morentsov. Maybe he's a little bit shy on the power as he goes in through a couple corners. He hasn't got the front balance the way he maybe would have liked.
Well, I want to talk about that and say I think the big reason is the track conditions. It's 45 Celsius track temp out there, 113 Fahrenheit. The wind, that northwesterly wind is not major. It could provide issues if it starts to get really gusty. But this track temperature, when it's hotter, you have to be smoother with the inputs. You can't just throw the steering wheel to the left or the right. You have to work it in. You have to really modulate that throttle. Has to be a lot more linear instead of just smash it in. So they have to remember that this track will not give them the grip in these temperatures. They have to behave, and I wonder if that's what happened there to Monsadov there. Just getting a bit too hot on the throttle, no pun intended.
Yeah, you can't afford to get too aggro out there off of the start. You can't afford to lose out that ground, and there is the battery, or well, not battery used, but there is the overtake system being used by Samarth Morentsov then. JT Smeaton tries to find a way, but if you know there's only one great overtaking place on the lap, it's just a case of who wants it for how long. And Timothy Friis Larsen, another fastest lap, goes against his name. We take a look on back then from Morentsov here, and JT Smeaton is keeping himself close. Now, one of the issues you find on this circuit, this is one of those tracks out there which screams you are going to get a lot of dirty air through this opening sector.
Dirty air will cause a little bit of tyre wear, but tyre wear won't affect them too much in this series. But what it will do is means you're going to put a bit more inputs in, a bit more inputs, heat the tyres up in. Hot track, heat the tyres up. Well, heat doesn't add to heat. That will just make it a little bit greasy and slippery out there. So you have to utilize this dirty air. And that's what I was saying earlier when we were coming up to Danjiang. Last thing you want to be doing is in that mixture of just in and out of the start of dirty air, because through the corners you will really start to struggle. So JT almost having to look about IndyCar lines, and when I say that is take a different line through the corners so you get a bit of clear air to help you load up for the straights, and maybe we'll see it right now.
Well, through Bucine, not really much seen between the pair of them. Morentsov still holding a 4-car length advantage as they exit that section. They crest the rise as again Larsen puts the fastest lap on the board. Smeaton closing. Big block defense all the way to the inside. Smeaton now is going to have to go the long way around San Donato. Still tries to put his foot down, but he gets oversteer through the middle of the corner, and clearance is there for Samarth Morentsov to hold his placement there. That was the first sign of life in a battle as they head to Materazzi.
They head to Maserati. I wonder if that was just a moment there where he had the opportunity, and I think the car just ran out of grip as well as just the oversteer there. It was just really tough out there for him to look for moves. Talking to people making moves, well, this is how you do it. This is Benjamin David. He's going to try and make this overtake here on Robin Krensky, and he's going to do this so smoothly. And look at that. Tell you that difference there between what we saw didn't work and did work there, Jake. Notice how wide he didn't go when he made that overtake. He tried to keep the car as central to the track as he could.
Yeah, and so you've got to be very poised out there. You've got to make sure that you hold your ground the way that many drivers do. And Morentsov was just waiting for that moment to strike, and then went, okay, there's only so much I can do to cover it off. But now he's got a 13-second advantage on the overtake system, and both of them turn around, have a look, and say, I'm going to start using it as much as I possibly can. Smeaton trying to close down, but this time around, there's defence here on lap 11 of 25, and trying to stay with them. Keep an eye out on this. It's Mo Shalan who wants to try and invest himself in this battle, because if he can get himself up to third, he will have an absolute field day here around this wonderful Mugello circuit.
Hey, let's put some respect on Miguel Fachado right behind him as well, because he's only a second behind Shalan as well. So there's an opportunity for these drivers to really bunch up. If Smeaton can't make the move clean, they're going to start going side by side. They're going to lose time. That's going to bring more cars in. So you just have to play this right. And you can see JT struggling through this dirty air as they go up the hill into the next set of chicanes. And he's not having the best time at the moment. And I think Shalan is really starting to catch up here on pace. Not by battling, but on pace.
Yeah, and it's pace that is the key here, that Mo Shalan here is catching this one on pace. And that 26 flat on that last lap, 0.3 of a second, tells you all you need to know. Ricardo, 1/10 of a second slower than Shalan, but Luis Cachan was the fastest of anybody out of those five, and Ben Ford faster than anyone on that 25.7 on that last go, with the exceptions of Timothy Fries Larson, or Transport for London, whichever way that you want to call his acronym out there of TFL, and then you've got James Byrne, who is there in second position. But I think Timothy Fries Larson at the halfway stage has just said, sorry guys, every single station towards victory is pretty much closed, so nobody can get to Victoria.
Well, he doesn't need a bendy bus, but I wonder if he'll be looking to go to Mornington Crescent very soon. We'll just have to wait. He's probably got enough time to play Mornington Crescent with the gap he's got. Smeaton really starting to struggle a little bit, I think is the right words to say. That dirty air just not helping him. He knows he's not too bad when it comes to all the push to pass difference, so that's good enough for him as well. But you can see more battles happening in the background. P11 right now. Krinsky really now struggling. Once David got past him, tried to catch up, could not. So now you've got Tavares right behind. Dan Jiang trying to catch up as well. Not been the day for Dan Jiang, and it's weird to say that, Jake. Not been the day for Dan Jiang. When was the last time we saw him on pace this far down the order?
It's very tough. I turn around, I see Ross Banfield way down the order. He's not someone who's normally back down there. This is a world-class field of drivers here tonight, and so it's going to be very tough to make progress. Everyone seems to have a mark on everyone else, and Timothy Fries Larson the mark on everyone as he sets another fastest lap of the race then, and says, look, I'm just going quicker with my 125.3, and he is just styling and profiling here at Mugello. Now Tavares looking around, thinking, you know what, I'm going to have to defend. Big lunge down the inside by Dan Jiang. That's too deep and too late. He was a day late, he was $1 short, and he realised I've got no money for the fare back to hold the overtake.
Yeah, might need to be paying a little bit of a visit there to the prison. You can't pass go, you can't collect £200. He'd love £200 right now. It was a bit too hot, and he was trying to just hold that speed into the corner before he got onto the brakes. I feel like did not work for him. Gonna have to do that all over again, but he's in a push to pass deficit, as you can see on the tower. He'd already used up 78 seconds, and you look at Tavares ahead of him. Well, Tavares has got a 16-second advantage. That's the equivalent of one push on this long straight, so he's got a straight advantage when it comes to push to pass. That's going to be a tough Yang, and look behind him, he's still got more drivers pushing him. Again, 5,819 strength of field. That's roughly Dan Jiang's strength iRacing. And here you can see this world-class lobby is really asking him questions.
It is, and again, you know, Dan Jiang is up there fighting for the title, and he just can't get a result, and he knows that, and he needs to find a way to get up. And again, Timothy Fries Larson finds another 0.75 of a second and goes even quicker still out there. It's getting better and better and better, and by comparison, you're stuck in the train, and once you get stuck driving to someone else's pace, Craig, it's the most frustrating feeling in the world, because you don't know how you're going to try and find a way to break out of it, because monotony just kills the run.
you know what the definition of insanity is? It's doing the same thing over and over again. And that's what's going to happen when you're in these battles and you know you can't make a move. You're having to wait for an opportunity to slip up, and it just never comes to you sometimes. This battle might be coming to people. Miguel Pachado right in front. Lewis Kachan there in the middle. But Kachan's got some company right behind. It's the white and blue of Jack David Spickett. So just a little bit of a battle here, and look at this. Kachan, one of the drivers with the most push to pass left in the field, finally using up over 50 seconds altogether, but he's made a mistake coming out of Corrientaro, and that has brought Jack David Spickett right into play.
Yeah, he's all over him now through the Piondettis into Bucine. He will go along, and now this is where you need the drive out of the exit, and Jack will now need to be full Jack attack to go and get this pass done, climbing up past the pits as they now look over to San Donato. Where does Luis Kachan go to defend? He moves over slightly, but Jack David Spickett doesn't pay attention to that. Goes for the inside. Kachan tries to hold it, but he understeers out in the marbles, and just like that, with 11 laps to go, Jack David Spickett gets the move done that puts him back into 7th place.
I think he kind of just fell for that. I feel that Kachan could have maybe made some defense there, but Jack just played him hook, line, and sinker there. Not a lot he could do to really do much. What about behind them now? Ben Ford in the old school McLaren livery. I wonder what he's going to be able to do right now. Could he see Kachan is struggling out there at this moment, trying to hope that he's got an opportunity to really catch up, but right behind him, Benjamin David. I'll tell you what, we haven't talked a lot about Benjamin recently, but out of all these cars we've just seen, the fastest in the last lap, Benjamin David by a 10th. So keep an eye on him right behind Ben Ford. You can't see him in the mirrors at the moment. You want to be looking at this fantastic battle with the three in front.
Well, Ben Squared will look to try and find their way up through the order. That much we know. The Lewis Hamilton helmet on, the lovely silver McLaren that's out there. Tried to mark up 2008. Another fastest lap for Timothy Fries-Larsen as Ben Ford now gets the chance to say, look, I am leapfrogging forward past Luis Kachan and you're not stopping me. Left side it's going to be past the Brazilian. Is there going to be enough here on the brakes? He's got himself clear before they even have to touch it there. Ben Ford up to 8th.
And that was pretty simple, using that speed. And not that, was also, hang on, Kachan's got to slow down as well. So he's probably going to have to just lose another position or just slow down. These drivers haven't been slowing down, though. Brilliant. That's the Mulsanov is able to hold off JT Smeaton. And just look at it, their times practically identical. Stands a few hundred between them. A beautiful run up the hill, though. And they haven't even touched their push to pass yet, Jake.
Luis Kachan trying to slow to serve the penalty. He does so and almost gets his wheels absolutely clipped off by Benjamin David coming down then through Casanova. Very dangerous place on the track to start slowing down and serving penalty, but he had to in a certain amount of time. Luis Kachan now under immense threat here. He's lost contact with Ben Ford there just in front, and Benjamin David realises this is now my time as they will look towards 9 laps to go. Samarth Morentsov is still holding his ground here compared to JT Smeaton, but the question is, how much is he holding his ground? How much are these drivers having to deal with the battles that they have available, and who's going for moves when? Because this will now become the chance for the move for Benjamin David. He'll get the look on the outside, and Luis Kachan again is bested on the run to San Donato.
Bested on the run, but got about 15 seconds to push to pass advantage over David. But David's just going to be looking forward. Already up 10. Yes, 10 places after invalidating both his qualifying laps. Would love to get a few more places up the order. These two would love to get that last spot on the podium. But did I just see JT just attack that corner a bit too much? I think he just hit that curbing and just caused a little bit of imbalance there in the car. And he's struggling once again. He has these flips, Jake. Sometimes he's really close, really looks like he can attack. And then he gets a bit too far away and the dirty air just really holds him back. Right now, he's in that dirty air moment.
Well, he's got to make out like a Barcelona FC lawyer and find another tranche to allow the signings to come in. That's pretty much where he sits down at this moment and realises, right, I'm really struggling here. I've got to find a way. He pulls out of the slipstream then for a moment, trying to take a different line into the corner that does not buffet him around. And so there's a real sense here that he's on desperate street, trying to hold his ground, and he's realizing he's about to start losing touch if he is not too careful here in the remaining stages of this race. This one has been a slow burn to what these drivers have been keeping eyes out on here. Watch out for Miguel Ficado here, because Ficado looks at Jack David Spickett wanting to get himself closer, and Spickett nowhere near close enough to make a move, but he knows all too well how to drive Formula. He's one of the best in the world in a Lotus 79, Craig. We both have each other to know.
We do indeed, and it's nice to see that, where you can transfer those skills in an old school Formula car into a modern day Formula car, and they both just have their feelings, their vibes, able to do it. But the thing that the old cars don't have, that push to pass button. You've got to learn that experience, and Jack's doing pretty well. 93 seconds left to Fachado's 67 seconds left. He's been a little bit aggressive, but I don't think that's too bad. With 8 to go, I feel that 67 seconds, you do the maths, that's all right. Jack may have too much in the bank left to use. That may help him, especially if Fachado goes very wide from turn 12.
Well, I think that was deliberate, actually, there from Miguel Ficado. It's what we call diamonding the line. He takes a much deeper line into the corner so he can prioritise the exit, sacrifice the mid-speed, whereas Jack David Spickett binds himself to the curb, and so he's pretty much at the whim and fancy of what's there, but it does leave him vulnerable by the time they reach the main straight once again. And here comes JDS once more. Timothy Fries-Larsen, another 25-2. Jack David Spickett to the inside. There's no offer of defence from Ficado. It's a battle of brakes up to San Donato once again. Another move put in the pocket. Ben Ford now watches on.
Ford may be looking to get advantage of this as well, because Spickett's done a good job, and that may open up that silver McLaren right behind on the Toyota. Anything can happen, and we have seen it, but these lines that Ricardo's showing really shows that he's struggling in the dirty air right now, really trying to find an opportunity to get some clean air, get some space, but he's really struggling behind JDS's car, and that is bringing Ford into the play here. And I don't think it's a question of if he gets past, it's a question of when will Ben Ford get past and get another Brit overtaking the Portuguese driver.
Out of Pelagio, over then to Corantayo. And now this is a case of, can you just keep yourself as close as possible? Ben Ford looking really, really punchy underneath the rear wing there at this moment in time. He knows what he's capable of doing. Troubles for Robin Kronecki out there, who now starts dropping down the order, and it's because of a disconnect. A drop for Robin Kronecki. What a real shame for the Czech driver. But here comes Ben Ford now with a chance to try and start clawing his way up. Left or right? Left he chooses, the long way, the difficult way. Can he start taking some space away then from Miguel Ficado? Tries to work a big arcing wide line at San Donato. They're going to have to fight off the exit. Over to Luco. No room given there, and pretty much scared off the line was Ficado. Ben Ford, absolutely ruthless.
I wonder if he was watching his fellow Ben making that move around the outside a few laps ago, Benjamin David around the outside, and that's what Ford did. He managed to try and hold that car in the middle of the road to stay on as much grip as he could. He had a bit of a wobble trying to get onto the throttle, trying to find the grip, but he was able to do it. This is Yang on Tavares. The Yang's going to try and do is around the outside. Can he get this done? Well, they'll go side by side, and look at it. He goes too wide, Jake. You can see that difference. He just gets pushed out a bit too wide. This is why I say the outside is pretty easy to do on San Donato. It's only easy if you know how to do it. And some of these drivers really have picked up that method, and also showing how to defend the inside.
Well, the profile of San Donato is it is one of the most difficult corners out there on the track, and you got to climb the hill to go and get it done. Again, Timothy Friis-Larsen, I think he's just lighting the timing sheet up for fun. He's into the 25-1s now, and so too is James Byrne, but he's 200 shy by comparison. So this is absolutely lights out running. Benjamin David now on Miguel Ficado going to the outside. This for plus 11 on the pass. David's deep though, and he's going to struggle off the exit. Ficado's got overlap here into Luco. He can fight back at the Poggio Secco. He's on the inside. David though pinched him low, and so he can match the drive as they go through, and Ficado lifts out of it over to Materazzi, and just like that, Benjamin David is plus 11.
That was good commitment to just stay in that battle. They were looking for the room, looking to give each other the room, but also fight each other for the room, and was able to get that move. Where else can he go? Talking to people that need something, he has 3 seconds, does Tavares. 3 seconds. Did I just hear myself say 3 seconds, Jake?
Yeah, he's only got 3 seconds. You can see the red light flashing, meaning his OTS system says I've got not much left to give. He's doing everything he can to get by Dan Jiang, who has 94 extra seconds by comparison. As you see, the push to pass numbers, they're out there. Mo Shalom, by the way, is someone who's also running out pretty soon, and Ficado going the wrong way right now, as now Samarth Marensov goes and sets the fastest lap of the race now. Timothy Friis-Larsen, your leader, by 5.5 seconds. I think the only person in this race who's stopping Timothy Friis-Larsen is Timothy Friis-Larsen.
Well, technically he was faster than everyone else last lap, but it was an off track, so it doesn't count. Raguzzi going past Dan Jiang. That's interesting because Dan should have quite a bit of push to pass left, but he can't do it. Here comes the response. He's still going, but now we have to go around the long way through San Lorenzo and gets it under control. I wonder if that was Raguzzi, having a problem keeping on that push to pass.
Rezgui was looking around at it thinking, yeah, absolutely, I'll go for the move on the outside. Tried to commit to it and understeered out wide. And I think Dan Jiang was just very smart, just tried to stick his nose in, scare the driver in front of him, and it worked a treat. So for now, as they head to Scarperi and Pelagio, they've got everything they want and then some here, but Mohamed Amine Rezgui has got to go back to the drawing board and find a different answer. Timothy Friis-Larsen, look, only now James Byrne comes around the corner. He is 6 seconds clear, and that is him firmly in the 24s.
Oh, that's in the 24s without push to pass. Come on, Timothy, you've got 3 to go. You can get on that button now if you want to. Now's a good time to just get on that button and just be like, yeah, that's fine. Let's start going. And some of these drivers really starting to be aggressive. Tavares, that light is not going to shine anymore. That's a big fat 0 next to your name. You are out, my guy. You have to start driving this like your Roman Grosjean at Barber.
Yep, he is empty on the OTS, and so now it's just about his talent to keep Dan Jiang behind, and he won't know, will Dan Jiang, whether he's got enough push to pass or not. He'll have to wait for the end of the race to find out just how early that has all faded away here in this race. So that's going to give you the carrot on the stick. Try and find a way, and it's just outside the points. Now Timothy Friis-Larsen decides, you know what? I'm going to start burning a bit, see if I can go a bit quicker, as he really wants to ratchet an attack here. Overtake on, you can see it on the dash there of that Cosworth steering wheel. Through Bucine, he wants all the drive, all the power, all the prowess. He wants to say, I'm going to give it one big lap to say no one can touch me.
Well, we know that he's the sort of driver. We know he's the sort of driver that's aiming for a delta. I think that's a delta that he will very much want to see. 1:24.685, and he's lost the fastest lap by JT Smith.
Well, they've all decided, right, now that we've got gap, let's go. And Smeaton on that last lap took 6/10 out of Samarth Marensov. I wonder in these hot conditions, Craig, whether it's a case of Smeaton's been saving up his tyres, looking to attack late.
Could be, but he's running out of push to pass, and that's the problem. Look at those time gaps, though. The last couple laps really starting to screw down on the push to pass, but he's down to 20 seconds. He is down to 20 seconds to push to pass. He's in danger right now, because if he goes too aggressive, he's going to have nothing left. And look at the red lights. Red lights mean danger. Red sky in the morning, Shepherd's warning. Red sky on the hoop bar. Well, you're out of it.
Well, there you go. All of it burnt up by JT Smeaton as he looks to chase his way back onto the toe of Samarth Morentsov here. And now more pushing coming from Timothy Friis-Larsen and James Byrne. Remember, once you touch the button, you don't get it for another 100 seconds out there. And that's been the key. Timothy Friis-Larsen, 24-4. He's just flying around this circuit as we start the final lap here at Mugello. Samarth Morentsov still holding his third. James Byrne quiet in second. He's got a 1 second margin to go and deal with right now, but those 9 seconds are about to be burnt off here for Samarth Morentsov, and that's going to be his day written off and done as there goes the remainder of the battery. Smeaton now has to rely on a mistake in the late stages here, and Luis Kachan is out of the race on the front stretch on the last lap of this one. He's hit the grass off the exit, missed attention, and he has chucked it hard into the barriers. We'll catch a look at this one here on the final lap. Watch where he's going. He doesn't realise it. On the grass, bang! A massive shunt into the wall. That's enough to send the fear of God into anyone. But right now, nobody seems to find an answer to this. Valerio Fagundes-Tavares still fights Dan Jiang late, but through Bussi, we have to go to him because once again, he's proven that he's done absolutely fantastic once more. He can't stop winning in this series. He cannot stop finding everything. For the 5th time, he wins. Timothy Friis-Larsen is your Season 3 champion of 2026.
With 3 races left, he takes the championship. All the drivers come back in. Top 4 finished where they all started. But here's the last battle. Nothing left on Tavares' car. Guian's going to have to use everything he had. It's going to be a drag race to the line, but he's got the speed involved. This is going to be a very tight finish, and I think Guian's just going to miss out by the barest of margins. Exactly 100 difference between the two of them. 0.011. And you got to feel Guian may have had that if he just had a couple seconds more push to pass.
Nearly, and it's not even the first time today I've seen a nearly like that. I've seen it 3 thousandths today, 11 thousandths there for Dan Jiang. Plenty of space for Valerio Fagundes-Tavares to hold on. Well, a day of days that makes it all worthwhile by the end of this one, and one where Timothy Friis-Larsen, for the 5th time this season, finds himself on the top step, and that is enough for him to say that he is champion this season as he defeats James Byrne by 8.1 and Samarth Morentsov by 9.4. JT Smeaton will finish off in 4th ahead of Mo Shalan with Jack David Spickett and Ben Ford 6th and 7th. Benjamin David, your big mover up the field from the back of the field and no qualifying time. He gained 11 out there to finish off in 8th as Miguel Facado would be 9th and Valerio Fagundes-Tavares would round out your top 10. In 11th, up 3, Dan Jiang, no points on offer for him with Mohamed Amine Rejgui then in 12th position. Felipe Sarkis then would be 13th ahead of Ross Banfield and Fabrizio Rivera. Luis Kachan would crash the car out with just a lap to go here at Mugello as Robin Krenecki then is 2 down after his disconnect. And out on the opening lap, Victor Awad and Mickey Friesen, who found their destiny down at the Luco corner. Well, before we do jump on and start talking to champions, and look how close that is over the line, a lovely snapshot of what we have offered out there. This show is made possible to you courtesy of Git Good. It is also brought to you thanks to the wonderful work that is brought by the ways of Tamash Setups then. You've got 3R Simworks who are critical to the works of today's running of the Formula B Super Formula Series, as well as JamesByrneCoaching.com and as well to Lap Labs. You've then got the work that is presented by Full Full Push Sim Gear, Canada's ultimate destination for elite gear. From precision pedals to professional turnkey rigs, we fuel your obsession. Pure performance, expert support. Push harder, drive faster. This show is brought to you courtesy of the Sim Racing Nation, the community for sim racing enthusiasts and motorsport professionals from around the world. They focus on fostering competitive racing and an environment for drivers of all skill levels. And as well, are you ready to hit the track with the Rookie Racing team? Rookie Racing is your spot to discover motorsports. We make it easy for new racers to get behind the wheel, so stop dreaming and start driving. Book your experience or full season at rookieracing.ca, located in the Greater Toronto area. Well, what more can we say about this guy with 5 wins this season and the SimSpeed Championship wrapped up with 3 rounds to spare? Timothy Fries-Larsen from Scorpio Esports. Timothy, that goes down as a very nice Saturday night drive for you. That might be the easiest 25 laps you've had all season.
Yeah, thanks. And I mean, it might look easy, but this week has been pretty tricky because with the nature of this track being so high speed and having such long corners, in combination with the track temperatures being as bad as the European heat wave, you had to kind of baby the tires around to make them last. So yeah, it was quite a bit of work, of course, like in the cockpit, like being smooth with the weight transfer in all directions, and yeah, just making sure the tires would last the whole race.
Tyres were able to get everything that you wanted to out of them. The only people that you've, quote, lost to this season is Kevin Foster, once because you weren't here, once because he beat you heads up for it, and then JT Smeaton on another round you weren't here. So as far as your season's gone, you can't get much better than that. But what has it been about building these blocks this season? Because not only have you got 5 victories, you've got 5 victories converted from 5 pole positions.
Yeah, not actually sure. I guess the thing I've learned the most about, just like last season, I think, we had to be the setup, like trying different things and having an amazing engineer to work with as well. Yeah, it's gotten like I've got to put some creative ideas into use, especially this week at Mugello. And yeah, I learned a lot in terms of that. Otherwise, just doing most of the same, like just locking in, driving well consistently. And yeah, I'm gonna try to continue that.
And as far as one championship is concerned, how much emphasis now are you putting on looking to try and convert the iRacing Championship out there with the final 3 rounds of Monza, the Algarve, and Silverstone?
I mean, I'm obviously going to do my best to get that championship as well, but to me that doesn't matter as much as this one. So yeah, I'll just continue to push, be creative with the setups, and yeah, that's about it.
Well, he is your very worthy, very deserving champion here with us on SimSpeed TV because he's done so 3 rounds early. Timothy Fries-Larsen, my friend, go and celebrate. What a great result at the office there for him. He knows how important that one was, as Craig King has wandered down the virtual paddock with a very, very talented James Byrne, who finished 2nd today.
Yeah, James, P2. I know it's not the things you want to hear, but the pace there from Timothy today was probably a bit too much for you, but it looked like that battle between you and Samarth at the start was pretty much how it had to be. Win it in the first few corners, otherwise you would have been for a long day in the office.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think just with the nature of the track, it becomes like a train where you're stuck and you can't get past anyone. I debated before about whether I should use push to pass into turn 1. And I decided against it just because I was worried about being vulnerable on the next lap. Oh, it is what it is.
It is what it is, but you were playing the game against Morensov at the end of that race. Close finish at the end, but still tough. Now tell me, this track, it's a high-speed track, and it's a very hot track. How does that play havoc with the car and the setup? Because when you've got a hot track, you've got to really make sure you've got the ability to keep smooth with the weight transfer. So was that a bit of a challenge this week when it came to setting the car up?
I think it can be, right? Like, and it's not like the W13 because this car, I feel like you need to be quite unstable in driving it and quite erratic, but that inherently makes it tough to manage the tires on a track where it's hot and where they have a high load on the tires. So I'm sure that was tricky for quite a few other people too. But I still like that though. I think we should have challenges from time to time.
Well, you talk about challenges. It leads me into the next question because we're at Monza next week. And there is a risk of rain. I have to say that, and now it's going to be bone dry. If it does rain, how does that transform the race? Because that's going to be a different challenge compared to today.
Yeah, it certainly will. I just found that out. I didn't actually know about that yet. Do you know the chance itself?
At the top of my head, no. Unfortunately, I don't know that, but it just says rain unlikely. So you know what that means.
At Monza of all tracks, right? That will be a total disaster because people will completely miss their braking points into turn one, I think, and there'll be a massive crash. So yeah, it will certainly be different.
Oh, James, we hope that doesn't happen because it would be nice to talk to you not out of the virtual medical center. But until then, congratulations on a P2. We'll let you get back to the rest of your evening, and we will see you hopefully in 7 days.
See you then.
James Byrne there, Jake, coming home in P2. I believe you have been walking down the virtual paddock one more time. I think you may have got home to the last podium sitter.
I have. I've got Samarth Morentsov here with me right now. Samarth, a case of the opening lap was full of fireworks and then it settled down into a nice drive. But you got close. You had to worry about JT Smeaton behind, but ultimately no real major move in front, no real major move behind.
Yeah, no, I was a bit worried because I tried to get the jump on James on lap one so I could have any chance of staying with Timothy, but it didn't work. And then James just gapped me, and I was in my pace so bad. And then JT was on me the whole time, and I was like I was just defending for my life. It was actually pretty tense there. I wasn't I didn't really settle into a rhythm until I got like I put a second on JT, and then my tires, because I was conserving tires in the middle of the race to try and come back at the end, and that's when my race started picking up again when I was reeling in James. And honestly, at the end, I'm not actually that disappointed with it at all. I thought it was a good race, and I thought about it a bit strategically with the tires. So only like what 1.3 behind James. I think that's a decent race for me.
A decent race. You're starting to claw that back at the end. So what do you think the big difference is that you're seeing between the drivers who are finding themselves at the top each week and you who's sort of getting close? You're sort of nearly there to getting victories here in this slot, but it's just not quite piecing together. What do you think the missing piece is?
I mean, it also depends track to track. I think for this track, it was certainly the tires. I did a couple of races earlier in the week where my front left was at like 8% by the end of the race. So I definitely learned a lesson from that to conserve tires and not over scrub them. And also, I mean, just consistency. I had a race with Kevin yesterday, and like the whole time he was just putting a tenth, 2 tenths on me every lap. I'm assuming he had the same Damas setups, and yeah, I mean, just consistency and just just freaking they're just freaking fast, man. That's really it.
Well, he's lightning fast. There's not much you can say about it. But do you think your fortunes are going to change at a high slipstream circuit like Monza in 7 days?
Uh, I'm not actually sure I'll be able to make it to the Monza broadcast, but for sure,
Oh.
for sure, yeah, I know it's a shame. I don't know. I don't know for sure, but yeah, I do know for sure I'll be able to come to Portugal and Silverstone, two tracks that I really enjoy. Silverstone is like one of my all-time favorite tracks. It's just so good. And yeah, I'm excited for those events. I think I can really have some good pace there and see what happens.
Well, we will wish you the best of luck whenever we get to see you next. Samarth Marentsov then crossing the line in P3 will have a huge smile then to go and work with, but he knows more work to do than at this one. Next time out then, we will head to what some would consider one of the great homes of racing in Monza. That's going to be a real treat. You can catch that August 22nd, then at 8:30 GMT. Make sure you set your calendars and your watches to make sure that you do not miss a treat as far as that one is concerned, as well as a huge thanks to everyone who has been working hard to get this show over to you on possibly the greatest day in Australian sim racing coming up with the Bathurst 1000, then just 4 hours and under away with Logitech G, V8 and the Australian Sim Racing Group. You'll definitely want to jump in and see the likes of Jaden Ojeda and Shane Van Gisbergen working with some of the best that sim racing has to offer, from Jay Kennedy, from Craig King, and myself, Jake Sperry. Sometimes a race is predictable, sometimes talent just takes you so far, and that's what Timothy Friis Larsen has proven today. He wraps up the SimSpeed title 3 rounds early and says to everybody else, get on my level, because you all couldn't match up to me over the races I've run this season. And he'll have many more chances to extend and do his victory laps on this championship, confirm the iRacing title if he decides he wants it. And he knows more than anything else in the world that he must pay his tithing just like everyone else, as we see you in 7 days at the Temple of Speed.